Shalom. This is another targeted individual video for educational and informational purposes. That, like I said, we already know those so-called African Americans, the de jure Royal Israelite Americans on the land. Like I said, go back and see the videos that I made called so-called African Americans should watch 1, 2, 3, and 4. Also, I told you to, not told you, but I said consider getting this book here, and it's called America: Some Assembly Required. And also said consider that in the documents, she said, this woman here says she is the private attorney for the Vatican's Pope, which basically means she represents the Vatican. And according to her own words, and also if you look at the document, she signed it saying that she's a private attorney for the Pope, their Pope, the Vatican's Pope. Not my Pope, but the Vatican's Pope. But then she also said that by necessity, they have to tell the de jure American people, which are the so-called African Americans, but also, if you look through those videos, we are actually the Royal Israelite Americans. And I broke it down why I say that. So she has another document she had put out talking to the owners and representatives, the executives, the agents, the officers, whatever, for that corporation. And she basically told them that we were in our proper capacity and we should be considered as such at all times. And then she also stated that we are the de jure Americans in our proper capacity. And she also said we were actually the heirs with an inalienable right on this land, but we had been subjugated for over 150 years under fraud and deception. Those are her words. And the reason I use that is because kept, the Vatican is part of that threefold entity that represents the same head that runs the corporate world, the land of the sea, not the land, but the sea territory. So that's why what she wrote was relevant to them. And it also tells the truth about who we are. So I'm gonna read this document. This is another part of the document that I've read before. And it says, and of course I say, I'm always myself, in propria persona. I'm sejurus at all times. Su heredis, soli propria at all times. And then I have to give credit to where credit is due. I learned that from the Moors. But knowledge comes from the Most Highest. So I'm not a Moabite. I'm an Israelite. But the truth is the truth, and the truth comes from the true one, the Most Highest truth. So wherever there's truth, everybody has the right to that truth, and nobody can subjugate you for knowing that truth. Nobody can claim you for claiming the truth. So I do not give them permission to do it either. No one. No one and no thing. So I'm going to read this document. This was one of their civil order documents that, what did I do with it? That this woman produced in the name of the Vatican's Pope. This is not saying I'm subjugating myself to them, nor any so-called African American is subjugating. They're basically saying by necessity who we truly are, the heirs on this land, the people in propria persona, the de jure Americans. That's who we are. And also I told you about Webster's dictionary, the definition that Webster was a respected man during his day. And he told it how he saw it. I'm pretty much sure that he didn't project that in our day that we would wake up to find out who we truly are, being the Israelites. But he told who the Israelites are and were in his day. who has been subjugated, and then also the proof that we are the Israelites. If you look at this image on Israel Hill, it talks about the free Israelites and the other free African Americans, proving that we are the heirs on this land. We are the Israelites. But then he broke it down of our true nature and of our true identity being the royal Israelites, Americans. So, that's why I broke it down on that video. You can go back and watch it. Called So-Called African Americans. You should watch 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then I'll use this information that she said here. This was her words. And of course, like I said before, she nor the Vatican or anyone else gives us rights. These are our Elo given rights, the creator of all things rights. But they're acknowledging through necessity, basically through pressure from the other people that are in high places to tell us the truth of who we are, so we can come into our rightful place of being the kings on this in the world. Basically, we're all over. We were spread to the four corners of the world, but this is our de jure land. Also, there's other, like I said, there's other brothers and sisters that's teaching and preaching this word, this truth, and this is not a religion. This is us by birthright, by who we are, bloodline. So let me read this. It says, any deliberate or systematic use of the given name of any living individual, man or woman, by an incorporated entity pretending to represent them or their material interests to create legal fiction entities operated under or for their name without full knowledge and consent of that individual is prohibited use of rights of use obstruct. All such acts, proposals, programs, and agencies created by the United Nations and by the United States of America Minor, that's the corporation, created many times, but then also basically in 1871, the Act of 1871 under the, the Act of 1871 was actually the District of Columbia. That's the corporation. Addressed to American nationals seeking to conscript, obligate, endept, misinform, or entrap them to any contract whatsoever, is which the identity and true nature of the parties is obscure, not in kind, or within the actual terms, claim, conditions, and results of contact are not made explicit, plain, or fully revealed, or null and void ab initio, and is as if they never were. All representations serving to misappropriate the good faith and credit of American nationals and their organic states in favor of any incorporated entity are self-interested, null and void. It said all registration, licenses, application processes, and similar devices used by the Federal Reserve, DBA, United States of America, Inc., and the International Monetary Fund, DBA, United States, and the Federal Reserve, now operating as an entity incorporated under the United Nations auspices, and their various agencies and state franchises are fraudulent, null and void, contrary to public law of the United States of America Major and the individual free states. This is any undeclared agent of the United States of America. I'm not going to read that part, even though it's in there. Read it for yourself. Of what they said is going to happen, but I'll continue to. It says such foreign, repugnant, and misrepresented commercial contracts include, but are not limited to, vehicle registrations, driver's licenses, marriage licenses, voter registrations. In this case, they also talked about the birth certificate, applications for welfare, medical, insurance benefits, including Social Security insurance claims, of foreign citizenship, of foreign personage residency, mortgages, public employee retirement benefits. See, these, you have the right to these things as far as, to then cut the, like for instance, I made a video about the credit side of of using the cell phone. On the credit side, and you are the creditor, and look up on those videos where I talked about the creditor. The creditor, you shouldn't have to give them fiat notes to receive your services. But that's what they're talking about. You have the right to your home, your land, your soil, all these things, but they created a way through personation to try to make you an entity that you are not. That's basically what they're saying. In your proper capacity, you have the right to all your rights. You have the right to your land, your soil, your homes, your property. You have the right to receive retirement because you worked. You have the right to travel in your what's the term I'm looking for? I'm not going to say it right now because I can't think of it, so I'm not going to use the term they use. You have the right to travel. You have the right to have set apart matrimony with the most highest being your head. So you have the right to find you a man or find you a woman and have a union with them. They call it marriage, but he calls it matrimony. So that's what I'm talking about there, and that's what she's talking about there. Let's see. But not under, you don't, but they don't have the right to subjugate you or personate you, subrogate you, hypothecate you, genocide, none of these things. Also, look, in that video I talked about, I might just do it on here again, just in case you didn't see that. I might just do it, let's see. Because some people depend on what they call welfare. Some people depend on what they call retirement. And she broke it down why you have the right to receive those things. But also you have the right, you really have the right because your signature, or your autograph, which is your golden signature, actually produces their ability to do anything. That's why they don't tell you what you're actually doing when you sign stuff, because you don't know what you're doing. They can't do anything without your allodial autograph or golden signature. Let me see. Also, they had made it so through what they call a birth certificate, this for consideration, this is for educational and informational purposes, in truth, that she's already said that they had to tell us through necessity. I didn't make up any of this stuff. This is stuff I've learned. I'm sharing it because it's my obligation to share it to you. And you might better take this and take it even further than I can, because you might have better understanding. That's why I'm sharing. It says, she said in their document, parents are not enabled to indept, pledge, conscript, or otherwise enter their children into any form of bondage, debt, peonage, or enslavement. Any and all relinquishments of individuals or parental rights must be voluntary, fully disclosed, completely enumerated, fully discussed, and the real natures and actual identities of all parties to any custodial, commercial, or grant contract of any kind whatsoever, like any agency appointment, must in all details be fully revealed and disclosed, explicitly discussed, explicitly agreed upon, and voluntarily entered into by all parties. Any contracts failing these requirements and merely being presumed to exist via tacit agreements, third-party representatives, representations, or presumed benefits are null and void. The civil orders require that all law... Okay, I'm not going to get into that. You can read that for yourself. So, let's see. Let me go somewhere else. Let me read a couple of more sections. She said the sea jurisdiction is international in character, has an international citizenship, rules all affairs on or directly below the surface of the seas, navigable inland waters, is inhabited by living men and women known as merchants and sailors and all living sea creatures, as well as ships and legal fiction entities engaged in maritime and admiralty business and contract. Functions under the law, maritime, and law of the sea admiralty, and is administered worldwide by British Crown Temple, DBA Inner City of London, aka Westminster, and Lords of the Sea. The land jurisdiction is national in character, is inhabited by living men and women, together with land creatures and plants, has a citizenship based on nationality, and which is in most instances includes both living men and women and legal fiction entities, rules affairs of land from the surface of the depth beneath, functions under the law of the land, is administered worldwide by Universal Postal Union and the individual national postmasters. So we actually are the, also it's another place in there that she said we are actually the those with the right to judge on this land. You know, she don't give us right, but she just explaining things of how we have the right, because we are the law on this land, the people, both individually and collectively. And we're not in their jurisdiction. We're not under their subjugation. Also, even by their acknowledgement through necessity, they said all the legal fiction entities that had been created, once we claim and come back to ourselves, we have the right, even though it's their creation, we have the right to administer over those such entities. Being the jure people, we have the right to, because they can't answer. We have the right, they can't speak, so we have the right to, anytime anything is claimed against us or them, we have the right to set off, discharge, and settle those accounts. We can also object to those color law things that's done under those things, and also they've already told you that everything that has been done to you under subjugation, hypothecation, impersonation, genocidal, all kind of bad faith actions has already been declared null and void. And also anything that they do to violate you, you have the right also to because they've already discharged, settled all fraudulent accounts. But you have the right to receive what is yours by right, being yourself. So for instance, I have the right. Let's see, let me see. I went to a recycling place, right? As myself. And because, you know, this is the gang stalking program, so I'm going to include this in there. Like I said, I don't know if those people were the real people that were supposed to be there or not, because you know that they have gang stalkers that, because of intimidation purposes, and people don't want to be gang stalked, they'll go into a location and pretend to be the people that's actually supposed to be working there and try to subjugate you there. So I went to this place to go turn in some recycling bottles, and this color here, they were trying to get me to sign in this. Now, I have the right to sign in that. I got the right to sign in this. I got the right to sign in this color. And I got the right to sign in this color, being my golden signature, by right. But because of what they were trying to do, they were trying to get me to sign in this color according to their color of law. According to their color of law, in order to make me subjugate myself under them. But let it be known, no matter what color I sign in, or give my allodial golden signature, or allodial, what they call a golden autograph, by right, I have the right to do so, being in my proper persona, and they do not ever have the right. See, that's them right now just popping up stuff on my computer to try to distract me, but I'm not going to be distracted. nor do I give them the right to do that. I can sign, or I can give my autograph, Lodi autograph, or golden signature in any of these colors, and still not be subjugated. I do not give them permission to do so. Also, I went to a location at a time to, because I gave them a notice at the time, and I said I always have the right to update my information. I went to a location to cash what has been said by mine by right, safety retirement check, and they had a man that was in that location who said, yeah, if we cash this for you, we consider you our property. That's basically what he said. So many words. I didn't cash it at the time because I was kind of offended, because I'm not going to be anyone's property. But I've shown you time and time again that I have the right to cash that check, and also because they're a negotiable instrument, and I have the right to receive money or something else. The check is what I'm receiving right now until the time comes that they will actually issue gold and silver coin. But as being myself and through overstanding, I know I have the right to discharge any debt. And because a negotiable instrument is an instrument that I have the right to negotiate through my allodial power, I have the right to discharge any debt that's associated with any debt instrument. And that's what I choose to do. And I made another video how to do that for consideration. And if anybody is interested, make a comment, and I will express it again on this a new video. Okay, that being said, let me go down a little further. There's a lot of things that she basically had to reveal by necessity. And then I also said you must also consider, when you're reading any document that's produced by them, you must also find yourself in it, because a lot of times they will include themselves in your state, to include themselves with you. But you have to know who you are to decipher, and that's what we know, and we are learning to know better. There's no shame in saying you're learning to know better, not that you're subjugating yourself, because you're never going to be subjugated, because they've already said that they can't do that, and they've instructed their people that they can't do that. And the Most High has already told us who we are, and then, like I said, through the Webster Dictionary and different things like that from the past, has shown us who we are in truth. Alright, let me finish this and not make this so long. Like I said, I'm always being myself. I never give them authorization to subjugate me, hypothecate me, personate me, genocide me, nor anything that is mine. My bloodline, nothing. Nothing that is mine by right. I'm not asked for anything else. I don't want nothing that's not mine by right, but everything that is mine by right, I have the right to receive it. Even those Moors who try to, they honorable, they have honorable Moors. But then even some of them have a perspective that's selfish in nature, because they're trying to do the same thing that the corporation is doing. Some of it. I'm not saying all of it. When in fact, it has already been stated that the people are the government, the de jure government, individually and collectively. So how are you going to subjugate another de jure government, either individually or collectively, because they don't do what you want them to do? That's the truth. Now, people get mad if they want, but that's the truth. I'm just speaking truth. So you should look at these documents for yourself, so you can get more. This is for in truth. And as I speak about things in my own life, because I can't speak for anybody else, nobody else's life, I share information that maybe can be helpful to your life. That's what the truth is about. Okay, I went to this section here because a lot of people who receive welfare, as they call it, or retirement, as they call it, tell this is why you have the right to do it, and you shall not be taken out of your de jure status of being who you are on this land for doing so. This is what she said. Once again, nobody gives you rights. This is just their obligations that they're subject to, including the rights of indigenous people. They don't give the indigenous people rights because we were already here doing things how we already was doing them before they got here. But this is what they are obligated to do. It's like, let me see, what am I looking for? I created my allodial identification card, right? By right, I have the right to update it. Whatever I put on there, that's my creative allodial property, my intellectual property. So I always have the right to update it. Plus, I like the way it looked because it's from my own intellectual mind, property. I'm proud of it because it's something that I created. That's what the indigenous people do. That's what the creditors do. We create through overstanding. All right, let me finish this video. She said the foreign welfare recipients. Americans are considered to be foreigners with respect to the United States of America minor. That's the corporation. And anyone receiving welfare benefits is considered to be a U.S. citizen. That's what they call the African American. That's the term they created to subjugate the de jure Israelite Americans, Royal Americans. However, because these programs have been funded with American credit, I should go back and refer to U.S. Article 4, Section 1 and U.S. Article 6. And then once again, I always give credit where credit is due. Those honorable Moors, I learned that from them. I didn't know this stuff at first, so this just to let you know I'm not against them. But truth comes from the Most Highest, the truth. So even when they get the truth, it comes from Him. Now, when you started doing things that's for your own motive, as far as that's not honorable, that don't come from Him. But what I'm telling you right here, this is your right, and even they say all rights reserved are exercising all rights at all now and at all times. So what does that mean? Oh, I'm not going to use this because this don't fit my agenda. No, this is one of your rights that you say you exercise at all times. You still have the right to create an allodial document, because your signature produces the credit that this land is run on. But still, you still have the right to use this document. I mean, these negotiable instruments. That's part of your rights. And she said Americans are considered to be foreigners with respect to the United States of America minor, and anyone receiving welfare benefit is considered to be a U.S. citizen. However, because these programs have been funded with American credit obtained under conditions of fraud and often has been entirely paid for by the recipients as a group, as in the case of Social Security, some other compelling basis would have to be established before the United States of America minor could convincingly claim American welfare recipients as U.S. citizens. It said retirees. The United States of America minor, that's the corporation. Then I also say, because this is an educational training video, or educational and for educational purposes, I also not to say I'm under this, but this is how they describe themselves. So I use what they say to describe themselves, but the color of law is always the color of law, and the color of law is basically, it says under the color of law, it says acting as the law, but actually is in conflict with the law, with the law of the land. It actually is in conflict with the law of the land, so therefore it is not the law. It said retirees. The United States of America minor would no doubt attempt to claim that American retirees owed Social Security insurance coverage or welfare recipients. So they some of them, and that's why I always give credit too, because there are good people that's working in these offices as well. So this don't include the good people who are in compromising positions because they work there. But they must also do what is right. And I believe they are secretly doing what they can to help. And I think that's what's happening in a lot of cases. It's working out for our good. Because the Most High said, although they meant it for evil, He meant it for your good. So we have good people, even though they have bad people doing things against you. He have good people in those places that are doing good things for you to help you and make sure you get what is yours by right. That's the truth. It said retirees, the United States of America minor will no doubt attempt to claim that American retirees owed Social Security insurance coverage are welfare recipients receiving benefits, see above. Individual retirees need to object to this interpretation, and I've let them know even when I've talked to them, and I've told you about that. And you go back and look at the video that I titled "The So-Called African American Should Watch 1, 2, and 3, and 4." Also, like it said, the United States of America minor, which is a corporation, will no doubt attempt to claim that American retirees owed Social Security insurance coverage are welfare recipients receiving benefits, see above. Individual retirees need to object to this interpretation of their status and give notice to the Social Security Administration that it is their understanding. Basically, when you talk to them, it's your overstanding, because you overstand what is happening. You don't understand the color of law. You overstand the color of law. But you understand what is happening, because you have the kingdom of heaven is inside of you. The kingdom of what they call God or Elo is inside of you. So you understand through that the great spirit of His understanding to overstand what the color of law is doing and those operating in it. Individual retirees need to object to this interpretation of their status and give notice to the Social Security Administration that they overstand that the Social Security is and was a retirement insurance program that they paid into, invested into, and not in any way welfare or benefit of any public charitable trust. This is just more interesting to see. American workers paid for every drop of their retirement